Hey guys, it's Javier, Dark Horse, One Grunt's Opinion here to talk to you about smoke and how to use it in an op. Right here I'm holding is a traditional military M83 smoke. This is the military grade stuff. This is a spent shell that I actually have lying around. I tend to have a couple. I don't know why. They just had them forever. So um, these are the type of smoke that the military constantly consistently uses with the active duty. It's hard to get a hold of these on the civilian side. On very rare occasions, you'll see some airsofters having these. The reason you don't, these are very pyrotechnic, and they can cause a fire really easily. So most ops and places don't allow them. But I'm going to use this as an example because I shipped all my smoke off to go to the op when I mailed my gear, and I'm not really here to sell you a particular brand of smoke. So generic empty cartridge is a good way to use it for an example for smoke. So let's talk about smoke and how you use it at your airsoft games, whether it's local or a national level. Most commonly, people traditionally will use smoke as a form of concealment to mask your movements, as you move across a danger area. What's a danger area? It's any area from one piece of cover or concealment to another piece of cover and concealment that you're potentially exposed to taking enemy contact. Now, most commonly and most easily understood is the space between, let's say, crossing an alley and or a long street between two buildings. The area between the buildings is your danger zone, your danger area. There's a high likelihood of potential sniper fire, suppressive fire, being laid and being watched in that danger zone, and or you actively know you're being engaged because you're in the corner and you have fire coming from up the street. So this creates a danger zone, an area in which you're exposed when trying to travel. Smoke is used to conceal your movement and make it a little harder for the enemy to see you and take fire on you. So this is the most common use of smokes in airsoft, whether it's the Battlefield brand smoke or the Enola Gay battle smoke or any other smoke that you might use. Some guys use some maritime grade stuff. And like I said, on the rare occasion that an airsoft gets a hold of this stuff and uses it in an event, it's very, very rare. So that's the most basic fundamental use of smoke. I'm at point A. I want to get to point B. I'm taking fire from point C. So I pop the smoke, throw it in the direction of where I'm taking fire from point C in order to cover and mask my movements. All right, from the enemy, and I'll move across the danger zone over to point B, where I want to get some more cover or better concealment from the enemy that's firing. Boom, basic, fundamental. That's about as fancy as it gets. Nowadays, smoke is used to make photos look good and videos look awesome. That's the aesthetic, I guess, quality of it. But this is the battlefield purpose. This is the objective and how it's a tool for accomplishing your mission. Now, beyond this simple concealment method and masking of your movements method, smoke can be used a couple of other different ways on the battlefield. You can use it to mark a target, mark a rally point, initiate an assault, and maybe even a casualty collection point to be established. Now that's kind of like establishing a rally point. So let's look at those three. First of all, mark a target, establish a rally point, initiate an assault. Okay. Now, when it comes to choosing the colors of smoke, I have my own kind of personal rules about that, which is the darker the better for concealment as far as masking your movements over when crossing a danger area or a danger zone. So I would go with purple and or black whenever those come out. That I think Enola Gay is working on a chemical reaction to create something close to that. Then I would use the other specific colors for specialties. Now, when you're doing that, when you're creating specialties or special meaning to each color that you use on the battlefield of smoke, that's going to require coordination at the command level. That is something that your command should be setting up. It shouldn't be you down at the lower level saying, hey, look, let's use this smoke for this. No. Your commander should already be making those decisions as to what kind of smoke and what purpose they should have. So let's say, as I've said, you have to mark an objective and or mark a target. red smoke is my personal choice. Why? It's just obvious. Red, bad guy target. Makes natural sense. Rally point would be blue, for the blue force, our side, the good guys. We're rallying at this blue position. That can be rallying to prepare for an assault, rallying to fall back from an assault against us. We're breaking contact, moving to a rally point to regroup for a counter attack. And green, initiate an assault. Now, granted, these things can be, you can come up with the best and easiest ways to come up with them for weeks in advance, commanders. You're coming up with a signal, a set of signals and a set of methods and colors and smokes in order for you to communicate these actions on the battlefield ahead of time for the op. Now, if you haven't done that already, all right, let's say your commander just hasn't thought to that level of creating a signal and command structure that allows for you to communicate beyond what the radios allow for, and creating a nonverbal system of communication with the smoke to signal certain objectives and or actions on the battlefield. You can make those decisions on the fly too. I mean, a platoon commander can say, hey, look, we're going to need everybody ready to go, and I want your squad and your squad to hit building A, your squad to hit building B, and you're staged at two different points where you may not be able to communicate with each other easily. So just right, at that point, at the planning stage, when you're putting the mission together on the fly, say, hey, boom, watch for green smoke. I'll pop green smoke, or whatever other color you might have, because obviously you haven't, taken the time, or your command hasn't taken the time to make the decisions as to what appropriate colors to signal what. You can decide that on the fly if you have to. But you should still establish those things, even if on the fly, because hey, squad A, squad B. Well, what color smoke means what? Because maybe somebody else on the battlefield somewhere else is popping smoke for cover or concealment as they move across a danger zone, and all of a sudden you set off an assault that you didn't want to set off, so because you weren't ready yet. So you still have to do a little bit of planning, a little thinking, even if it is on the fly, like I said, as a leader on the battlefield. So that's why. So you got to break it down and understand it. Have a plan ahead of time is always preferred, especially at the command level. When you guys are looking for a real big immersion and looking to really get in the milsim and kind of take it to that next level, especially on the command side of things. Creating a set of criteria, creating an outline for how smoke is going to be used on the battlefield really adds to the event. You can do this at a local game too. All right, so let's step back and get away from the national off thinking, you can initiate an assault, or you can mark an objective completed, or where there's a large cluster of enemy that you don't want to assault to with smoke also. Same concept, same way of use. Just because the game and scrimmage is shorter doesn't mean it's not still a useful tool to do those things with and communicate. At your local games, honestly, when you're on the other side of the field and you want to take an objective, how many players actually have radios at the local field? So smoke can be even more useful when you're like, boom, let me know when you have captured the enemy position or the enemy base, so we can move on capturing their VIP that they're escorting, whatever the objective is. Well, smoke is the simplest, easiest way to go ahead and figure that out without having to worry, does the kid have a radio that's compatible with yours and that's on the same frequencies. So easy option, quick to go on your local game too. So we're not talking about just up on the national level and going to traveling to events when you can use these and they can be useful for you. So, all right. So those are the three additional uses that I like to use for smoke, and I like to think of are very much practical and capable within your airsoft events. Now, for concealment and masking of movements, the larger canisters, kind of like this one is, that the NLOGA produces in battlefield smoke, produces also. The larger canisters are what I recommend for that. Now, because they burn shorter than these military grade ones, I would recommend maybe using 2 of them to provide you the maximum amount of concealment to mask your movements, and or throwing one and then shortly right behind it another to help give you a longer continuous burst. I believe the NLOGA X18s, 18Xs, the new ones, they burned pretty well as far as the big smoke, but only about a minute worth of it. So you might need more than one to get the job done to provide you proper concealment and masking of your movements when moving towards another position. So take those into consideration. The small canisters, the half size ones, those I honestly think are the best for those alternative uses that I mentioned. Marking a target for a strike, mortar, or an assault, marking a rally point, and or initiating an assault. Why? Because they're a little more focused, they're smaller. You know, they put out that good bit of smoke, but it's it's more concentrated in a more concentrated area, where the big ones spread out wide and can cover a large area. Especially when you're trying to mark an objective, a rally point, or a target, you know, something specific that you're trying to get somebody to notice from across the battlefield. The smaller smoke's producing a smaller cloud that goes kind of straight, a little more straight up and a little more purpose pointing, is obviously makes more sense. Now, if the objective in the area is really large and you're really far away, like in the Mills and West stops, where those guys are long distances sometimes, you know, because they use big AO areas, the larger may be the better choice. But for most of us playing at you know, at Lion Claws, American Mill Sim, you know, stuff that's, you know, a little smaller scale on a smaller terrain, let's say like a mount site, sometimes a little more direct smoke that is smaller, more concentrated rather than large spread out is better for signaling as far as pointing something out on the battlefield. So I want you to keep those in mind, those additional uses. You should be looking at your smoke like you look at any other part of your kit and ask yourself, what other uses can I come up with? You know, I named some extra ones there other than just providing concealment for you and masking your movements, right? So you should be thinking to yourself, well, he said I could use it to mark a rally point, mark a target and or objective I have to hit, and initiate an assault with using nonverbal communication. What else? What else can you think of? You know, let's say we need to establish a casualty collection point. You know, somewhere where we have or a mobile respawn, let's call it. I hate using the word respawn, but we want to establish a casualty collection point in which we want the medic to rally up here, and we bring our casualties here to quickly reinsert back into the game and put back into the battlefield, right? So, commander makes a decision, casualty collection point here, pop some smoke. This is where we should start bringing our guys, okay? You know, and at that point, also the casualty collection point can become a, you know, de facto rally point if you want to think about it, because obviously you're concentrating you guys there in numbers. It's a little different from the real world. You know, in Airsoft, you concentrate guys at the respawn and or FOB, and then boom, you relaunch them. Obviously, in the real world, if casualty collection point and or an aid station, guys aren't launching back out that in the same manner, obviously. So some things to consider when you're thinking Airsoft versus real world, and the uses of smoke. All right, so I challenge you guys to take your smoke and take a good look at it and think about it a little bit. Give it a little more purpose, a little more intent than just first of all, making your photos and videos look cool. Come on, we can move beyond that. And where's the tool purpose? Okay, we know it's good for concealment and masking movements, right? Okay, now let's take it to the next level. Let's be a little more precise in using of our equipment. Let's think, boom, all right, not everybody has radios, not everybody's up on comms, even if they did. Or the mount site sucks and we can't communicate across. Well, how do we get a platoon to attack on the north side of town and another one to attack on the west side of town at the same time when we can't talk to each other? Boom, pop smoke, green color, whatever color you guys decide ahead of time, and that initiates our assault. If things are going bad and we're overrun and the lieutenant makes the decision that we need to rally up, how are we going to know? Well, the lieutenant is going to pop blue smoke on the position that he wants us to rally back up for a counter assault. All right, we're ready to go. All right, scouts units and you guys out there reconnaissance sneaking around that are really good and really enjoy that. When you find the target or the main objective, I want you to pop smoke on it, red smoke on it. I'll call a simulated mortar strike on it. I'll call a simulated airstrike on it, or we'll coordinate forces to head in that direction to make an assault on that objective, and we know it's important. So many more uses for smoke than simply just giving you cover or concealment as you move across a danger area. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield at the next stop. This is Javier Dark Horse on Grunt's Opinion. Talk to you later. Bye.